Someone on Zoom? Okay. I'd like to introduce HDL Engineering and QAP Contractors.
Hi, everyone. This is Jackie LaBelle with HDL Engineering. I think they just unmuted you, so I think you were introducing us. There's a couple of us here today in case you guys have any questions, but I'll give you a quick update on where the runway project sits right now. Right now, we're mostly just doing behind the scenes work. The contractor can speak on what they're doing, but right now, HDL is receiving submittals from them and we're reviewing them. And we're also working with the FAA on all of the notifications that we have to give to them before the construction project starts, including review of the construction safety phasing plan, 7460s, the structural event notification. And there are some upcoming meetings in April with the tower and the FAA. And that's mostly what HDL is doing right now. If anyone has any questions, feel free to chime in, and I'll let one of the QAP representatives speak to what they're working on this month.
Does any commissioner have a question? I think we're good.
Hi, sorry about that. I missed part of that there. My volume wasn't working. Sounds like you guys were wanting an update on what we're looking at for this month.
Yes, please.
So this month of March here, we're just looking at moving equipment down there. We already began that process. We hauled a few pieces of equipment down to the airport to try and get ahead of weight restrictions. So we're ready to go in May first week of May or so. And that's kind of what we're looking at. At some point, we would like to try and coordinate setting up, getting some core samples of the runway asphalt so we can start working on a mix design for our foaming, which is the base course for the paving. We're going to try and set up doing some form of cutting, like 6 or 8 inch core holes in there and then filling them back in. Those were kind of what we're looking at this month here. And sorry to introduce myself. I'm Tom Davis. I am the superintendent on the project.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, hey, Tom, just a question for you. A question was raised at the Peninsula Pilot Club meeting actually on Tuesday. The runway, it's going to be ground up, is that correct, the old surface?
The old surface will be ground up, yes.
Okay. The question was, what are you doing with the remnants? What are you going to do with the ground up runway remnants?
Most are going to be reused in the project. Some is going to go to airport maintenance. They're over on what would it be, the east side. There's a staging area that they're having us put it in for maintenance.
Okay, yeah, there's talking about the parking area that's going to be temporary when, the south parking over in CAP, some guys were asking about maybe if there's something left over to go ahead and pave that area with whatever wrap is left over.
The only problem with that is the tie-down tenants need to be out by May 8th. And the grinding's not going to start till after that. But we'll do some, we'll take care of it.
Any other questions?
I don't believe there is.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you for the updates. Okay, is there any other member of the public would like to speak to any item not appearing on the agenda? Okay. We're going to move forward. May I have a motion to approve the February 12th, 2026 minutes?
Move?
May I have a second?
Second?
Thank you. Are there any revisions to the minutes?
I do have a question on the attendance part. If they attend via Zoom, is that supposed to be annotated on where, when they're present, if they're supposed to be on Zoom? Because I think Dan Kniezek was on Zoom last meeting. I didn't know if that was, we'd done that in the past. I don't know if that's something that needed to be done or not.
I'll ask him for him.
Okay, yeah, that's the only question I got. Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Are there any objections to approving the minutes? Hearing no objections, minutes are approved. Unfinished business, we have none. New business. May I have a motion to recommend council approve memorandum of agreement for Greatland Consulting and Training LLC?
Move.
Okay.
Yep, second.
Okay, can we have a staff report?
Yes, this is for the contract to Great Land Consulting and Training LLC. He provides the aircraft rescue and firefighting training over there for a lot of the state equipment operators that do ARF on their airports. Our firefighters also use the facility. It's a calendar year contract. He pays the city per student and training fee, and he is in good standing with the city.
Okay, do we have any discussion, comments? Okay. Seeing none, can I ask for unanimous consent? If there's no objections? Okay, thank you. So can we have a report from our interim airport manager?
Yes, the runway rehabilitation project, which we're working on the construction safety and phasing plan, and the special IFPs, is my understanding, are at the FAA Flight Standards Division looking for approval. The construction safety and phasing plan was returned to HDL last week with 8 pages of comments. So I went through them with them last Friday. We spent about an hour on the phone. That updated construction safety and phasing plan hopefully went to the FAA, will go this week. That plan needs to be approved before the SRM meeting, which is going to be held on, the Safety Risk Management meeting, which is going to be held on April 15th. So hopefully the FAA will approve that and we can move forward. The apron crack sealing, marking, and seal coating construction is going to start late April, first part of May. I was on a safety risk management panel meeting yesterday that lasted for 5 hours. So April 15th, I'm not sure what's going to happen. I won't be here. Yeah. So it's quite an interesting process. I think we resolved a lot of issues. There's a couple of things that still need to be resolved, but everybody's working forward to, hopefully it'll go smoothly. The airport master plan, phase 1's almost complete. We're in phase 2. We're working on, HDL's working on all the comments from the discussions and the public meeting, and we're working to come up with one alternative that will be presented later in the fall. And they're not sure of the next round of public meetings, still yet to be determined. Go to the airport website. We have a new scan. There's a tab on the left-hand side. It's a virtual tour of the terminal building. So feel free to go take a look and let us know what you think. Comments, we can always improve it. Of course, there's a lot of snow in this one, but hopefully, we can update it in the spring. Something I'd like to do after the runway project also, and we'd also like to do a scan for the Aircraft Regional and Fire Training Facility to market that, because 2 ARF facilities in the lower 48 have shut down. So Bob Lee is working and attending conferences, and hopefully we'll get more attendance up here to our fire training facility. So we're looking forward to that. I wanted to get back to you guys on a couple things that came up at the last meeting. One of them was Commissioner Manelga. You asked about we talked about the jet service, you asked about the index, you asked about the ARP trucks, okay? So our index currently now is an A. If we got, say, an Embraer 175 in here, it has a wingspan of 104 feet. That puts us in the index B. So at least 90, but less than 126. And our trucks are qualified for index B. That's why we're allowed to get the alternates from Anchorage. Do you have any questions about that?
Not about that.
Okay. Also, I didn't get any more questions from commission about the the leakage study, but I did, the questions that were brought up at the last meeting about the airfare and the, is Dan on yet? And the schedule for grant aviation, I got clarification on. Jack said that the grant schedule they used is what's filed in the major reservation system. Amadeus and Sabre still show 17 per day each way as of today, which was March 6th. He said there must be some disconnect between Grant is showing through their outside providers and its own website. So I was going to get this to Dan, and so he can look into it. And also, I think Commissioner Manelga, you questioning the fare, the 300, okay. So the fare on slide 15 is not Kenai to Anchorage. It's the combined fare to the final destination. For example, if someone flew Kenai, Anchorage, Seattle, it takes the entire fare into account, not just the local segment. The average for the ENA Anchorage segment is $149. The average that Kenai passengers pay for the Beyond segment is $215. That help?
That helps.
Okay. And let's see. So you know that we got your pet relief area signs up in the terminal. Did you see them?
No, but
I haven't had an opportunity to bring a pet through that area, but no. I'll bring a horse. How about that? I've got a horse at home. That would be
And-
interesting.
Okay, and also, when I was gone to Anchorage 2 weeks ago, Terry and Julie and I believe Kevin met with Crowley, and they did reassure them that the self-fueling operation is being replaced on the airport in the fall of 2026. And the other thing that's come up on the runway project is the aircraft tie-down area is in the RPZ for the temporary runway. So to avoid going through a whole safety risk assessment, I'm going to be sending an email out and asking that the aircraft tenants relocate in that tie-down area by May 8th. They could either go to CAP or they can go to the gravel strip. I think one is on float, so he'll probably go to the floatplane basin. We also have to take down the poles, the light poles that are less than 20 feet high on the small apron taxiway. Those have to come down also. Two of them at the north on the corner where the gold hangar is. That one and the next one down, we're in the object-free area. So those need to be removed. And also, it came to our attention during this meeting yesterday that we're going to have to close the gravel strip for all operations from May to the end of September, due to the fact that the object-free areas between the gravel strip and the temporary parallel runway at Mike overlap. So if somebody is holding short at Mike, coming off or going, their tail is going to be in the object-free area. And so the easiest way to resolve it, we were going to just close it at night because of the tower being closed and not, we want to ensure that, for simultaneous operations. We were just going to close it at night and let the tower control it during the day, but then this came up yesterday. And so the quickest resolution is to close the gravel strip from, say, May 15th to the end of September. That's all the good news I have.
Quick question for you. The people are gonna have to relocate out of the parking down there. How many people are gonna have to move? And are there tie downs down at the gravel strip?
Everyone's going to have to move. And yes, there's 16, and there potentially could be 32. And I know in CAP, we've already gone down there and tried to remove the majority of the snow to help it thaw faster. And there are some tie downs from the past when we moved everybody over there for the first runway project. But we'll be looking at it and talking with CAP, who's graciously allowed that to happen, and see how many planes we're able to put there. How many do we have in tie downs currently? 4, is it like 40 something maybe? So I think we'll be okay.
Another alternative would be the float pond, using the so-called extension of Echo Taxiway. There's plenty of ramp space over there. It would be really easy to put some tie downs in for the summer.
Okay, so how would they get there?
Well, I've taxied over
It's
using
gonna
that.
be, so
that-
if the main runway's
Oh,
closed.
okay, that's the complication.
Yeah, that's the complicated part.
Never mind. Yeah, unless they just left
That's a
some.
great idea if they
Yeah.
could get there. And I'm not as familiar with the tie-down tenants down there as I have been over the years. I know we used to have 5 or 6 that would go over there on floats from Wheels, but I think there's currently only 1. So I hope everybody can understand. We just need to get through this construction for 2026, and we'll accommodate everybody that we can, and I think it'll work. It worked before. I'm hoping it'll do it again. My memory serves me right.
So with the tie downs down at the gravel strip down there, is that out of the protection area?
Pardon?
Where the tie downs down are at the gravel strip down there where these guys are gonna go park, is that out of the protection area that you were saying you're gonna have to close the gravel strip because of?
Okay, I don't think I understand what you said.
So you're gonna have to close the gravel strip,
Right,
because it's in the protection area, right?
right.
So then you want these people that are in the tie down spots right now to relocate down there and tie out down there. Is the
Right.
tie downs there out of that protection area?
They'll be able to access the parallel runway.
Okay. And the actual tie downs are outside that area?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, that's what I was
Yeah,
asking.
no problem.
Okay.
Yeah. Any more questions?
Yes, Mary?
Okay, I'm
I got a
ready.
couple. Let's start with the big one. That was, the first one on my list was the runway, because on the flyer that I got from you, it said there was anticipated no impact from gravel operations. Obviously, that's changed. So, and the question was based on you saying that it was just going to be closed at night when the tower was closed. I was thinking, well, Soldana, they don't have a tower, they don't have anything, but they have gravel strip right next to the paved runway. So I was just going to see what the difference was between the two, but now it's a moot point because if they're just
Yeah.
going to close it. So the question now is, because you will get this question here, and this came from an FAA advisory circular, April 2022, and it said FAA has just released updates to its airport design standards. Among the policy's updates is a long-awaited acknowledgement to allow turf operations on unpaved runway safety areas. This policy is updated, and you will get this request, and it sounds like it may not go because it's really not a designated runway safety area. It could be. But basically what it means is anybody with Tundra tires, you can land on the threshold or adjacent. And that's the AC number on that is, what is it, 150-5300-13B, airport design.
5300 dash
13B, 13 Bravo.
13B, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's AC 150, advisory circular 150-5300-13 Bravo, airport design. And it's, look up, if you want to do a word search, turf operations. And it's for aviators using either the paved or unpaved surfaces at the airport. And aircraft often preferring turf operations include vintage tailwheel aircraft, ultralights, gliders, and aircraft with large Tundra tires. And this is in quotations from EAA government advocacy specialist Lily Johnson said this policy update has been several years in the making after EAA first asked the FAA to codify what has been taking place naturally at GA airports for decades. I know Palmer used to do that, but that's, of course, there's no no tower there. But I know there's, folks out here that, that have Tundra tires, and they would like to know. That's a question that you're going to get asked.
Okay.
So just giving you a heads up on that
Sure.
because it's going to be a kind of a big deal for them.
I don't know how many of our tie-down people have Tundra tires currently.
Well, some in the hangars too. And
Oh.
Sean Taplin, you know him, he's
Okay,
got
yeah.
those gigantic.
Sure, I didn't
He
think
really
about
should land on
that.
the gravel.
Yeah, he's got huge tires. Okay, so that was on the runway. The other thing, just as a housekeeping issue, I called the office, and the phone tree still has Keene Aviation as far as, like, you want to talk to somebody for Keene Aviation, it's option 2. And
Oh,
they're no
okay.
longer.
Thank
yeah.
you.
And then also for Crowley for fuel, I had the distinct pleasure of refueling a CAP aircraft this afternoon using Crowley fuel. I can't wait for them to change that. My gosh.
Was it a bad experience?
It was, well, it's icy and it's on
Yeah.
a slope.
Yeah.
Okay, you got that. There's no receipt, and I need a receipt for the CAP books. I got to scan it and upload it and all that stuff. Okay. So I
Will
go to
they
the.
write you a receipt?
Well, they actually emailed one. I went over to the office, and the
Okay.
office was open, but there was nobody there.
Yeah.
So then I called them and asked them, and fortunately, I got somebody and said, yeah, I can email it to you. Give me your email address. And they did, which is good, but still, it's just more steps.
Yeah.
And then the hose and the nozzle, and the hose is like this big around. If you want to refuel a DC-6 and put some avgas on it, perfect. But if you're trying to climb up an icy ladder on an icy surface with a hose that once you get it up over your shoulder and on the wing that probably weighs close to 40, 50 pounds with a nozzle that's this huge and has a huge handle on it, it's just not fun.
So the hose that they're using is not really,
Oh, yeah,
For
it's
small
not,
aircraft.
it's not,
okay.
yeah, anyway.
Try a 10-foot ladder with caravan.
Yeah, I can't, it would just be, the fun meter would be on its peg. But anyway, I know it's complaining, and I know their fuel went up too. It's over $9 a gallon now too, so. Yeah. So that was interesting, so. But,
Oh, okay,
yeah. So that's all I got. Yeah,
okay,
but
thank you.
Yeah.
I'll look into a few things. I'll get back to you, I promise.
Well, yeah, I was just gonna say, because you will get that question, especially, from the guys.
I will.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else for us, Mary?
That's my report.
Okay. Well, my report is I got to meet 2 of the candidates for the airport manager, and they're both very very differently qualified, I think. Mary can weigh in on this than other ones we've seen. They're impressive. So, a whole different genre of person.
Where are they from?
One is from Provo, Utah. Where was the first gentleman from? Do you remember? Was it Maine?
North Carolina.
North Carolina. So,
So there's hope.
they're just have a different set of qualifications that we've seen in the past.
Well, the last one we got from the East Coast lasted 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the very last one? Didn't he come out of, no, okay.
No, I mean the last one from the East Coast.
Yeah.
We had one many years ago. He just did not fit in Keno.
Well, I think I think both of these gentlemen will fit just fine.
Okay.
They're very professional, they're very knowledgeable, they just have a whole different set of skills, I think.
They're actually, we did interview 3 applicants. Glenda only had the opportunity to go to lunch with 2 of them.
And, the 2 I met, had a whole different skill set, toolbox than we've ever seen, I think. Probably not as much on the operations side as other sides. So I think it's refreshing to see the talent.
That is good.
Okay, that is my report, so we'll move on to Councilmember Sonard. If you can give us your report?
Yes, thank you. The city has received 2 lease applications for surface lands and subsurface pore space on lands held by the city for the benefit of the airport. And because the timeline needed to move quickly and time was of the essence, the ordinance that was put forth was ordinance number 3507-2026, and it reads, increasing estimated revenues and appropriations for consulting services to evaluate natural gas storage opportunities on Kenai Municipal Airport lands. This was introduced at our last meeting, but it was read twice. And we moved on both and we passed it. So the city will be obtaining consulting services for how to handle these 2 applications for these airport lands, for the poor subspace, which I learned a lot in the last month about poor space.
Did they indicate at all about where on airport lands they might be looking at that specifically?
It's all underground.
Yes, it's absolutely huge. It's pretty much the whole thing.
An old gas field, correct? An old field that has been depleted?
Yeah, so all this is underneath. It's, okay, oh
So where
boy.
would access be? Would that be on airport land?
That's my question. Yeah.
I'm not sure if I can talk to that because that's part of the 2 applications. It's part of the negotiations, but there is an access point right now that the city is trying to negotiate for. That's already set up and just could basically walk in and start functioning. It took me a little while. I really had not heard of this before this landed in front of us. And so I'm assuming, are you familiar with what this is and what it does and how it works? Okay, then I won't need to do any explanation for it. But the map that we saw, it was huge. It's pretty much the entire geographical location of the airport lands.
I think the reason I would be concerned about where the access point is, as Paul said, is you have to set up a drilling rig and actually drill the well to get into it. So where would the derrick be relative to the runway? If it's, the airport's huge, so I'm sure it's well outside the approach courses.
Yes.
So that's my only concern.
I think they've looked extensively at that.
Yes, like I said, all I will say is there's an access point right now off of Marathon Road.
Yeah, I was thinking Dobbins-Beck Park, that,
And the city that's part of the negotiations going on with the 2 lease applicants. So from the talks that I heard and from what I understood, regarding access points and literally boots on the ground and how do you deal with this? It would not impact airport operations at all. It would pretty much be outside the airport fence, even though it's on airport land.
One other thing he was talking about that just reminded me about the derrick. Years ago, Air Force did some construction project down on King Salmon. And there's a radar site down there at King Salmon that FAA uses for controlling air traffic for the high altitude and the lower guys too. So they constructed a hangar without consulting with the FAA and doing a hazard analysis of that. And it ended up blanking out part of the radar envelope, I guess, and it caused some issues. So maybe just something to consider. I can't say that it would do anything, but it is possible that it could potentially interfere because the FAA radar site is right there. That's that golf ball out there. So just something to think about.
Yeah, and there will, any construction that is done on airport land, they go through the 7460-1 and OEAAA site. Interestingly enough, during this conversation yesterday, we found out that for the apron marking and crack sealing project, there has to be 7460s filed. I mean, you mostly think of those for airspace studies. They're just going to have pickups on the airport. And now we found out that we need to file this proposed notice of construction for an airspace study.
Oh my.
So what else do you have for us?
And that would be it.
Okay, thank you. Is there any members of the public that would like to address the commission at this time?
Alex Cook, resident of Kenai. I'm also a member of the Kenai Peninsula Pilots Club and one of the admins of the page. That closure for the gravel strip, if someone could email me the information, I could post that so the pilots know what to expect.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Seeing nobody else, we'll move on. Our next meeting date is April 9th, 2026. Is everybody planning on being here? Okay, thank you. Commissioners' comments? We got any?
Just one thought, since we're losing the grass strip or the gravel strip. Years ago, there was space that was used basically right out in front of the terminal, across the ramp. For several years, they operated a grass strip right there. Nothing's changed out there. It would be very easy to just put some cones out, use that. Any concerns about holding short, just keep the airplanes back on the ramp side until they were ready to go.
I will pass that information along. I'll definitely pass it along. I would think at this point, it's probably a little late in the game with the construction safety and phasing plan. But, the FAA shut that grass strip down because of simultaneous, operations and then not enough separation from center line to the other runway. So those are things we'd have to look at, but I'll certainly pass it along.
Well, with respect to this new AC, I look forward to reading it and seeing how that's written. Prior to that, it was in the 1970s, everybody just landed outside the lights. I mean, right alongside the runway, but outside the lights. I saw that in Canada once too. Abbotsford had beautiful grass and folks were landing 172s outside the grass or outside the lights. Kenai, it worked really well until Tower Chief just decided he didn't like it. I don't think he had a real rule leg to stand on, but he just didn't like it, so it wasn't allowed anymore.
Well, take into consideration that will be men and equipment, you know,
Yes,
out
that
there.
definitely complicates life.
Right, absolutely. And, you know, we're going to close the airport to all training operations. So,
That's pretty easy as far as sending people to Soldotna.
sure,
That's-
yeah. We just, you know, we're going to do everything we can to, you know, have safe operations and get that job knocked out from the middle of May to the end of September.
What do we know about an instrument approach?
All I know is that I believe they're at flight standards being reviewed.
Okay.
And I will tell you that because of those special approaches, everybody has their eyes on this project. That's why we got 8 pages of comments back on the
Okay.
construction safety phasing plan. And numerous long conversations with all different areas involved. Like I said, yesterday was 5 hours with the Safety Risk Management Panel, and that was just for the apron marking and crack sealing. So we still have the runway SRM on April 15th.
Stuff just gets more and more complex, doesn't it?
Yeah, I found out also that I need to write a letter or a letter of agreement, the city does, that allows the tower to direct traffic to a temporary runway, since it's not the runway. So I posed some questions to the FAA and to our legal, you know, can this just simply be another letter of agreement that the city writes? It gives authority to the air traffic control tower to control aircraft on the new movement area, which is a, you know, parallel taxiway. Yeah, that's something new that just came up also.
I do have a question. It was reference our conversation, what we had about the instrument approach procedures and what my conversation was with Brandon. And I talked to you about this already, I believe, and I just spoke just briefly to Eric Jort about this, about designating taxiway alpha in the planning documents as an interim runway. Remember, that would have alleviated this whole thing about getting a special instrument approach procedure, because then they have the data to be able to move the safety areas over for the circling approaches. We talked about this here, I think, last week. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you've been on the phone with a lot of people, let me tell you, I'm not surprised, but.
Were you in on those conversations?
Yeah, but anyway, so the designation, because I did a follow-up call with you because my phone conversation with Brandon was so productive. It was really good. He said this could have all been, if taxiway alpha had been surveyed and approved as an interim runway on the airport, you can do that. You can move all the stuff around because they have the data to do it. The FAA can do that, the risk management aspect. So
If it was done 2 years ago.
if it was done 2 years ago, exactly. And I talked to Eric Jort about it. I said, hey, can you throw this in on the airport master plan to put in something like that for an interim, the runway designation as the FAA had specified, so future people that are sitting here don't have to go through this. So, and he said, well, that'll cost more money. I said, well, see if you can weasel it out. So anyway, I told him on his end, I don't know if he's going to pursue it very much or not.
Okay, I can follow up.
But I think it would be worth a conversation, at least for the master plan, because this is the time to do it. If they're out there doing their stuff.
Okay,
you
so
could do
this
it
was
now.
the master plan
The
discussion.
master plan, correct.
Okay.
So in the future, when this has to all get redone again, you know, it will eventually. They won't
Okay.
have to go through all of the stuff we went through.
Okay. Well, Eric is gone now until the end of the month, but he has someone filling in his spot, so I'll ask, I'm sure that they have a comment from that discussion.
Okay, any further commissioner comments? Okay, if we're seeing no more business, this body is adjourned.